When they kicked me out of the family group chat, I only texted back one line: "Thank you for confirming." Then I opened my drawer and took out the key they never knew existed. By midnight, 103 missed calls lit up my screen, the exact moment the building's system logged the owner activating repossession mode. My daughter-in-law screamed in the lobby, "You can't do this to us." I smiled, signing my name in blue ink under the line marked "Owner of Unit 21B." You want to know why my entire family lost their minds at the security desk at 2:07 Fine. Let me tell you how a 62-year-old mother stopped playing ATM and pressed the button they never knew I controlled. My name is Marian Hale, though everyone calls me Mari. I'm 62 years old, a retired accountant, and apparently the family ATM that finally broke down. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where this all started, my grandson Aiden's high school graduation party last June in Harborview, New Jersey. The Riverside Pavilion overlooked the Passaic River, its floor-to-ceiling windows catching the late afternoon sun. I'd written the deposit check 3 months earlier, $5,000, that my son Lucas promised to pay back once the Henderson project closes. The catering bill. Another $8,000 on my credit card. The photographer. The DJ. The custom cake shaped like Aiden's college logo, all me. "Mari, we're running low on ice at the drink station." My daughter-in-law Brianna called out, not even looking at me as she adjusted the balloon arch for the 100th time. She wore a coral dress that cost more than my monthly pension, her blonde hair perfectly styled despite the June humidity. I stood behind the beverage table like hired help, refilling cups and wiping spills while Brianna floated through the crowd, accepting compliments on pulling off such a beautiful event. My knees ached from standing for 3 hours straight, but every chair had a reserved sign for someone more important than Lucas's mother. Gran. Aiden found me during a brief lull, his graduation cap tilted at a ridiculous angle. "Thank you for..." He gestured at everything, his eyes genuine behind those thick-rimmed glasses that made him look like a young professor. "You earned it, sweetheart," I said, straightening his cap. At 18, he was the only one who still hugged me without checking my pockets afterward. The speeches started at 6:30 p. Lucas took the microphone first, his contractor's hands awkward with the delicate equipment. He thanked his clients for their flexibility, his golf buddies for their support, his wife for her vision. Me, not a word. Then Brianna's turn. She had notes on her phone, scrolling through them as she spoke. "This journey wouldn't have been possible without our village. Thank you to the Riverside school teachers, to our amazing neighbors, to my mother for flying in from California, to my Pilates group for keeping me sane." She thanked the barista at her favorite coffee shop by name. She thanked her hairdresser. She thanked the universe for its abundance. I refilled the lemonade pitcher and watched my son nod along like this was normal. The party ended at 9 p. While guests grabbed their party favors, custom keychains Brianna ordered with Aiden's graduation photo, I collected dirty glasses and stacked chairs. The catering staff assumed I was part of their team, one woman even trying to tip me $20 for my help. "That's my mother," Lucas said to a client, laughing. "She can't help herself. Always has to be useful." Useful, like a good appliance. I drove home alone along River Road, my 10-year-old Honda making that grinding noise Lucas promised to look at 6 months ago. Their new BMW SUV passed me on the left, Brianna's silhouette checking her phone in the passenger seat. At 11:45 p.m., my phone buzzed. The family group chat, The Hales, was active. Brianna had posted photos from the party, dozens of them. She'd cropped me out of every single one except the one where I was bent over cleaning up a spilled drink, captioned, "Even Gran pitched in to help." Then Lucas's message appeared, "Mum, we need to talk about boundaries. The constant hovering and trying to control everything is becoming unhealthy. We think it's best if you step back from family gatherings for a while. We need space to breathe." 17 thumbs up. Reactions appeared immediately. Extended family, cousins, even my sister in Florida. Brianna added, "It's from a place of love. Mari, sometimes distance helps relationships heal." My hands didn't shake. 35 years of balancing ledgers taught me to stay steady when numbers didn't add up. I typed one response, "Thank you for confirming." Then I stood up, walked to my home office, and opened the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet. Behind the tax returns and insurance papers was a silver magnetic card I'd kept for 3 years. The executive access card for Hale Harbour LLC, the company none of them knew existed. I also pulled out a manila folder labeled Lucas Business Expenses. Inside were credit card statements going back 3 years. Every charge highlighted and categorized. Atlantic Cove Resort, Seaglass Golf and Social Membership, client dinners at restaurants, where the receipts showed 2 entries, always 2. Never the 4 or 6 that would indicate actual business meetings. $265,000. That's what family meant to them. I closed the folder and picked up my phone. One more text to the group. "Effective immediately. All automatic payments from my accounts have been terminated." Then I left the chat. The first call came at 11:58 p. I let it ring. Sleep didn't come that night. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop, a cup of black coffee, and 35 years of financial records. The sun came up over the Passaic River as I finished my spreadsheet. Every dollar, every payment, every "I'll pay you back" Mom that never materialized. The mortgage assistance for Lucas's house, $93,000 over 3 years when his construction business hit a rough patch. Funny how rough patches include membership fees at Seaglass Golf and Social. Aiden's car insurance, $340 monthly for that sports car Lucas insisted would build character. The premium spike after 2 speeding tickets, I covered that too. The family phone plan. 6 lines, including Brianna's mother in California and her sister who'd never held a job. $420 monthly. Lucas's business credit card. This was the masterpiece. $24,000 in client entertainment last year alone. I pulled up the statements on my screen. The Ocean View Steakhouse, always table for 2. The Bordeaux Wine Bar, purchases at exactly 9:30 p.m. on Thursdays when Brianna taught her evening Pilates class. Hotel charges at the Marriott downtown during his supply runs. I printed everything. 312 pages of enabling disguised as love. By 7 a. I'd already called American Express, Verizon, State Farm, and Chase. Each conversation was the same. I need to remove myself as the authorized payer. The customer service representatives always asked twice, making sure I understood the consequences. Yes, I understood. The consequences were the point. My phone showed 47 missed calls. Lucas, Brianna, even Brianna's mother, who suddenly remembered I existed when her phone line was at risk. I deleted the voicemails without listening. At 9 a.m. sharp, I walked into Harborview Financial Advisors. Marisol Vega had been managing my portfolio since my husband died 8 years ago. She took one look at my face and closed her office door. "Finally," she said, pulling up my accounts. "I've been waiting for this day." "You knew?" "Marie, I've watched your retirement fund hemorrhage for 3 years. Every time you came in for a withdrawal, you had that same look, like you were apologizing for existing." She turned her monitor toward me. "You have 380,000 left in your retirement. That's it. At this rate, you'd be broke by 70. Not anymore." We spent 2 hours restructuring everything. New passwords, new security questions, beneficiary changes. Lucas's name came off everything, replaced with Aidan's, but in a trust that wouldn't mature until he was 25, and only if he maintained a full-time job or stayed enrolled in college. "What about this?" Marisol pointed to a line item I'd almost forgotten. "Hale Harbour LLC. You're still the sole member." The company I'd formed 3 years ago when I thought I was being smart, protecting my assets while helping Lucas build his business. He never knew the apartment he'd moved into, a client's investment property that Brianna had negotiated, was actually mine. "Leave it," I said. "For now." The doorbell camera alert hit my phone at 2:15 p.m. Lucas's truck in my driveway. Him pounding on the door while Brianna stayed in the passenger seat. Arms crossed. I didn't answer. "Mum, open the door. This is insane." His voice carried through the walls. The credit card was declined at the gas station. The gas station. Do you know how embarrassing that was? I sat in my living room, watching through the window as he stormed back to the truck. Brianna got out then, marching to my door in her designer workout clothes. "Marion, this is financial abuse. You can't just cut us off without warning. We have bills, we have obligations." Financial abuse. I wrote that phrase down, knowing my lawyer would find it interesting. They left after 20 minutes. Lucas peeling out hard enough to leave marks on my driveway. At 4 p.m. Aidan called. I almost didn't answer, but something in me needed to know where he stood. "Gran." His voice was small. "I'm at work and my card got declined at lunch. The guys covered me, but your parents removed me from family gatherings. Aidan. They said I was toxic." Silence. Then, "Mum showed me the text. That's not what you were doing? You were just helping. You've always just helped." "And where were you when they posted it?" I didn't see it until this morning. I was out with friends after the party." A pause. "Gran, I'm sorry. I should have said something. You're 18 now. Adult choices have adult consequences." "I know. I'll figure out the insurance myself. Maybe I can get more hours at the store." That's when I knew there was hope for him. Not excuses, not manipulation, just acceptance. "Send me your work schedule," I said. "We'll talk about a budget, a real one, where you contribute." "Yes, ma'am." And Gran, thank you for everything. I should have said it better at the party. After we hung up, I looked at my spreadsheet again. $265,000 over 3 years. That would have been a comfortable retirement. Travel. Maybe a small condo by the beach. Instead, I had receipts for their ingratitude and a plan they couldn't see coming. The pounding started at 7:20 not knocking, pounding. The kind that rattles picture frames and sends the neighbor's dog into hysterics. "Mum, open this door right now." Lucas's voice cracked like he was 16 again, caught sneaking out. except he was 37, and this time he was trying to break in. I stayed in my kitchen, calmly buttering my toast. The doorbell camera recorded everything. Evidence has timestamps. After all, the pounding stopped. Murmuring voices. Then Brianna's key scraped in the lock, the one I'd forgotten she had. The deadbolt turned, but the chain lock held installed yesterday afternoon by a locksmith who asked no questions about the rush job. Marion! Brianna's perfectly manicured nail poked through the gap. This is ridiculous. Let us in. I walked to the door, coffee mug in hand, and stood where they could see me through the 3-inch gap. You're trespassing. I have it on camera. Leave, or I call the police. Lucas's face appeared below Brianna's. Mom, we're family. You don't call the cops on family. According to your message, I'm too toxic for family gatherings. Surely that includes my own home. That's not, we didn't mean. Brianna pushed forward. We need to talk about the financial situation. My financial situation is excellent. Yours, apparently, is not. You destroyed our credit. Lucas slammed his palm against the doorframe. Everything bounced, the mortgage payment, the car payments, the business loan. Your mortgage, your cars, your loan. I sipped my coffee. I'm confused why any of that relates to me. Brianna's voice pitched higher. Because you've been paying it? We structured our whole life around that support. Without asking. Without thanks. Without even acknowledging it unless you needed more. I set my mug on the hallway table. Tell me. Brianna? What's my middle name? What? My middle name. We've been family for 12 years. What is it? Silence. It's Elizabeth. My favorite color is green. I'm allergic to shellfish, which is why I never eat at those restaurants you pick for family dinners. I volunteer at the library every Wednesday, have for 6 years. Did you know any of that? Lucas's face reddened. This is manipulation? This is clarity. You don't want me. You want my money. And now that's gone. We'll lose everything. Brianna's composure finally cracked. The house is in foreclosure. Warning, Lucas's truck will be repossessed. My credit cards are maxed out. Yes, I imagine they are, given the charges I saw. Nordstrom, Saks, that medical spa downtown. Interesting how you could afford Botox, but not your own phone bill. You vindictive old. Choose your next words carefully. Brianna, they're being recorded. She pulled back, but her eyes blazed. We know our rights. Elder financial abuse goes both ways. Sudden changes in financial behavior, isolation from family, drastic decisions, all signs of diminished capacity. There it was. The threat I'd been expecting. Lucas jumped on it. We're worried about you. Mom, this isn't like you. Maybe you need to see someone. Get evaluated. Like Dr. Patricia Hernandez, my neurologist. I pulled out my phone, showing them the screen. Who cleared me yesterday with perfect cognitive scores, or Dr. Robert Kim, the psychiatrist who wrote a letter stating I'm of completely sound mind. Both reports were notarized and filed with my attorney this morning. Their faces fell in tandem, a beautiful, synchronized collapse. Your attorney? Lucas's voice went flat. Audrey Klein, exceptional woman, very interested in the forged signatures on your business loan documents. You know, the ones where you listed me as a co-signer without my knowledge. Brianna grabbed Lucas's arm. You said she agreed. She didn't know. He turned on his wife. You told me she signed them. You told me to handle it. I watched them turn on each other like hungry dogs. 3 years of united front crumbling in seconds. 60 days, I said. They both looked at me. You have 60 days to figure out your finances without me. After that, Audrey will be in touch about the fraudulent loan documents. Unless. Lucas's desperation was almost pitifully obvious. Full financial audit. Every penny you've taken under false pretenses gets accounted for. Payment plan established. And we put it in writing, no contact beyond what's necessary for repayment. You're cutting us out. Brianna's shock seemed genuine. What about Aiden? You're punishing him for our mistakes. Aiden has already called. He's getting a second job, applying for student loans, and learning what actual adults do take responsibility. This is your fault, Brianna hissed at Lucas. Your mother. Your problem. My fault. You're the one who sent that text. They were still arguing when I closed the door, engaged both locks, and returned to my breakfast. Through the window, I watched them storm to their BMW, the one with the 48-hour repossession notice they'd find when they got home. My phone buzzed. Aiden, Gran, got approved for 20 hours a week at the store. Can we talk about budgeting Saturday? I texted back, proud of you. Saturday at 10. Bring your laptop and last 3 bank statements. Then another text. From a number I didn't recognize. Mrs. Hale, this is Tom from Beacon Wharf Property Management. We need to discuss the situation with Unit 21B. The leaseholder has violated multiple terms. Please call at your convenience. I smiled, saved Tom's number, and filed it under patience. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. The certified letter arrived on a Tuesday, delivered by a postal worker who required my signature. The return address, Steinberg, Walsh and Associates, attorneys at law. Brianna had made good on her threat. I poured myself tea and read it at my kitchen table. Sunshine streaming through the windows. The language was deliberately intimidating: financial elder abuse, undue influence, sudden personality changes indicating possible dementia, isolation tactics. They demanded immediate restoration of all financial support and suggested I seek medical evaluation for my obviously deteriorating mental state. I photographed every page and forwarded them to Audrey Klein. Her response came in 12 minutes. This is garbage. Steinberg owes me a favor. Let me make a call. By 2 p.m. Audrey called back, laughing. Turns out Steinberg's paralegal drafted this without him knowing. Brianna paid a $500 consultation fee for what amounts to a threatening letter with no legal basis. He's mortified. He's also dropping them as clients. That was fast. Marion. I've been doing this for 20 years. When I told him about the forged loan documents and showed him your cognitive evaluations, he couldn't distance himself quickly enough. He's sending a formal withdrawal letter today. What about the threats? Empty. But we're going to respond anyway. I'm drafting a cease and desist that will make their heads spin. Plus, I'm attaching the evidence of fraud we've collected. 2 can play the intimidation game, except our threats have teeth. That evening, I sat down with my laptop and pulled up Lucas's business credit card statements again. 3 years of transactions, all neatly categorized in my spreadsheet. The patterns were damning. Thursday nights at the Marriott downtown 42 times in the past year. Always the same amount, $212. Room service charges at 11:30 p. Weekend client meetings at Atlantic Cove Resort 16 times. Always when Brianna posted about her girls' spa weekends on Instagram. The Bordeaux wine bar, charges that corresponded exactly with Brianna's Pilates teaching schedule. But then I found something new. A recurring payment I'd missed before $500 monthly to BRC Consulting. I searched the business registry. No such company existed in New Jersey. But when I searched the routing number on the payment, it led to a personal account. Rebecca Courtney, Brianna's sister. They'd been funneling money from the business account to her unemployed sister, disguising it as consulting fees. That wasn't just unethical with me as the unwitting co-signer on the loan. It was fraud that implicated me. I called Audrey immediately. I need a forensic accountant. Already have one in mind. Diane Matsuda, best in the state. She'll find every penny. Thursday morning brought another surprise. A different letter. This one hand-delivered by a nervous young man in an ill-fitting suit. Mrs. Hale, I'm James Parker from Parker and Associates. Let me guess. I interrupted. Lucas and Brianna hired you after Steinberg dropped them. His Adam's apple bobbed. Yes. They've retained me to pursue restoration of financial support based on established patterns of dependency. Mr. Parker, how old are you? 26, ma'am. How long have you been practicing? 6 months. I almost felt sorry for him. Did they mention the forged loan documents, the fraudulent consulting fees, the fact that they kicked me out of family gatherings days before cutting off my support? His face paled. No, ma'am. Did they pay you? A retainer? Yes. Cash it quickly. And do yourself a favor, get everything in writing and keep detailed records. You'll need them when they blame you for losing. He left, looking queasy. I called Audrey again. Baby lawyer. She guessed. Fresh out of law school. They're getting desperate. Good. Desperate people make mistakes. Speaking of which, Diane found something interesting. We met at her office at 4 p.m. Diane Matsuda was a tiny woman with the demeanor of a shark and the precision of a surgeon. She spread papers across the conference table like tarot cards revealing a fortune. Your son has been running 2 sets of books, she announced. One for taxes, one for you. The real books show his business is profitable, very profitable. He's been hiding assets while crying poverty to you. How much? Over the past 3 years, about $400,000 in unreported income. He's been stashing it in an account under Brianna's maiden name, Carter, Rebecca Carter. That's not Brianna's maiden name. It's her mother's. Diane smiled like Christmas came early. Even better. Multi-generational fraud. The IRS loves those. I don't want him in prison, I said. I want him accountable. Audrey leaned forward. Here's what we propose. Full forensic audit. Complete repayment of fraudulent funds. Signed confession to protect you from any liability. In exchange, we don't report to the IRS. And if they refuse, then we file complaints with the IRS, the state licensing board for his contractor's license, and pursue both civil and criminal charges for the forgery. I thought about Lucas as a child, bringing me dandelions he called roses. Then I thought about him laughing as he called me useful at Aiden's party. Draft it, I said. Give them 72 hours to respond. That night, Aiden called. Gran, Mom and Dad are losing it. They're talking about suing you, saying you've gone crazy. I know. Sweetheart. Are you okay? I'm better than I've been in years. Good. Because Mom tried to take money from my savings account today, the one you helped me set up when I was 16. The bank called me because she's not on it. Smart kid. What did you do? Changed all my passwords and moved banks entirely. Like you taught me always have an exit strategy. I smiled. Maybe something good would come from this mess after all. 3 years ago, I thought I was being clever. Lucas's construction business was struggling, or so he told me, and he needed a stable address for permits and licensing. Just temporary, Mum, until things pick up. I formed Hale Harbour LLC that same week, using my maiden name documentation so it wouldn't immediately trace back to me. The registered agent, Bayview Registered Agents, handled all the mail through a P.O. box I rented across town. Even Marisol, my financial advisor, didn't know the full scope, just that I'd created an asset protection vehicle. The apartment purchase was almost too easy. Unit 21B at Beacon Wharf, a luxury high-rise overlooking the harbour. $750,000 cash. No mortgage needed. The beauty of death benefits and a lifetime of careful saving my husband would have approved of. I structured it perfectly. Hale Harbour LLC owned the property. I was the sole member and managing partner. And Lucas signed a lease agreement for $0 monthly for 36 months. What he thought was a sweetheart deal from Brianna's college friend, who supposedly owned it. Except Brianna's friend didn't exist. The emails came from an account I created. The documents were drafted by a different lawyer than Audrey, and the keys were handed over by the property manager, actually the building's concierge, who assumed I was just another investor. The lease had beautiful provisions Lucas never read. Noise violations, property damage, failure to maintain common areas, late payment of building fees. Any of these could trigger immediate review by the owner. And buried on page 12, Section 8, subsection C, failure to maintain property standards or creating hostile environment for ownership representatives results in immediate termination of tenancy. I'd been ownership representative for 3 years. Every nasty comment, every excluded family dinner, every joke about my usefulness, all documented violations of creating a hostile environment. Tom from Beacon Wharf Property Management had been sending me reports for months. Noise complaints from 3 different neighbours. $2,000 in damage to the lobby wall from Lucas's truck. Consistent late payment of HOA fees. Cigarette burns on the balcony decking in a non-smoking building. I sat in my home office, reviewing everything. Then I made the call. Tom. This is Marion Hale from Hale Harbour LLC. I'd like to schedule an ownership review meeting for Unit 21B. Finally, Tom said. I've been documenting issues for 18 months. When would you like to meet? Monday, 7 p.m. Conference room at Beacon Wharf. Please send formal notice to the tenants that owner representatives will be present to discuss lease violations. Should I mention who the owner is? No. Let's keep that as a surprise. Just state that failure to attend will result in automatic lease review default. Saturday morning, I met with Aidan as promised. He brought his laptop, bank statements, and a notebook already filled with budget calculations. I can make it work. Gran, he said, showing me his spreadsheet. If I take 25 hours at the store and the weekend shift at the warehouse, I can cover my car insurance and start saving for college expenses. What about your parents? He shrugged, but I caught the hurt in his eyes. Dad called me a traitor. Mum said I'm choosing money over family. You're choosing responsibility over entitlement. There's a difference. I know. It's just... He paused. Why didn't I see it before? How they treated you. You were a child. It wasn't your job to see it. I'm not a child anymore. No? I agreed. You're not. We worked through his budget line by line. I showed him how to track expenses, how to build emergency savings, how to distinguish wants from needs. Things his parents should have taught him, but were too busy spending my money to bother. Gran, can I ask you something? Always. That apartment Dad lives in, the one he says belongs to Mum's friend. Something's off about it, isn't it? Sharp kid. What makes you think that? The bills come from something called Hale Harbour LLC. I saw them on the counter last week. Hale is your name. I considered lying, but Aidan had earned better. Yes, I own it. His eyes widened. They don't know. They're about to find out. Holy shit, sorry. Gran. Under the circumstances, I'll allow it. Monday arrived with a thunderstorm that felt appropriate. At 6:30 p.m., I dressed carefully in my best black suit, the one I'd worn to my husband's funeral. Professional, serious, memorable. I added the pearl necklace he'd given me for our 30th anniversary. Audrey met me in the Beacon Wharf lobby. Ready for this? 3 years ready? They're already upstairs. Tom says they brought the baby lawyer. Poor James. He has no idea what he's walked into. We took the elevator to the 3rd floor where the building's business offices were located. Through the glass conference room door, I could see them. Lucas pacing. Brianna on her phone. James Parker nervously shuffling papers. Tom sat at the head of the table with 2 HOA board members. Let me go first, Audrey said. Let them think I'm the owner's representative. She entered with the confidence of a woman who'd destroyed bigger fish than Lucas and Brianna. I waited in the hallway, watching through the glass. Good evening. I'm Audrey Klein, legal representative for Hale Harbour LLC, owner of Unit 21B. Brianna barely looked up. Where's Rebecca? She's the one we've been dealing with. There is no Rebecca associated with this property. You've been corresponding with the property management company? Lucas stopped pacing. What do you mean, Rebecca Courtney? She's a fiction. Shall we discuss the lease violations? Tom opened his folder. 17 noise complaints, $8,000 in damage to common areas, consistent late payment of fees, multiple violations of the non-smoking policy. This is harassment, James Parker squeaked. Audrey smiled. This is documentation. Your clients signed a lease with clear provisions. They've violated every single one. We'll sue, Brianna snapped. We've been model tenants. Model tenants don't default on HOA fees while driving an $80,000 BMW. That's when I entered. The silence was perfect. Lucas's mouth opened, but no sound emerged. Brianna dropped her phone. Even James Parker seemed to grasp something momentous was happening. I walked to the head of the table, pulled out the owner's chair, and sat down. Hello, Lucas. Brianna. I believe you've been living in my apartment. The conference room felt airless. Lucas stood frozen, his hands gripping the back of a chair so hard his knuckles went white. Brianna's face cycled through emotions like a slot machine confusion. Rage, disbelief. Back to rage. You're... What? Lucas's voice cracked. I pulled out the silver magnetic card, the executive access key, and placed it on the table. The overhead lights caught its surface, reflecting the Hale Harbour LLC logo embossed in the corner. I'm the owner. Have been since you moved in 3 years ago. But Rebecca, Brianna started, is your sister, who's been receiving $500 monthly in consulting fees from Lucas's business account. We'll address that fraud separately. Tom cleared his throat and pushed a tablet across the table. The screen showed the building's ownership registry unit, 21B, Hale Harbour, LLC, authorized signatory Marion Elizabeth Hale. "This is impossible," Lucas said. "You don't have that kind of money." "I didn't. Until your father's life insurance paid out. $750,000 that you assumed I'd blown on myself. Instead, I bought real estate. Your home. Specifically." Audrey opened her briefcase and laid out documents. "The lease agreement you signed, page 12, section 8, subsection C. Would you like me to read it aloud?" "This is entrapment," James Parker ventured weakly. "This is property law," Audrey corrected. "My client provided housing at no cost with specific behavioral conditions. Your clients violated those conditions systematically." "You've been spying on us." Brianna's voice pitched toward hysteria. "I've been receiving standard property management reports. Every building does it." I turned to Tom. "Would you share the highlights?" Tom pulled up his files. January 15th, noise complaint, 2:37 a.m. Multiple people yelling. February 3rd, damage to lobby wall. Estimated repair $2,200. February 20th, cigarette burns on balcony decking. "Lucas doesn't smoke," Brianna interrupted. "No, but his Thursday night guests do." I let that hang in the air. "The ones he entertains while you're teaching Pilates." The room went silent, except for the storm beating against the windows. Lucas sank into a chair. "How long have you known?" "About the affairs, the fraud. The way you both laughed behind my back about the stupid old woman funding your lifestyle the entire time." "Then why?" "Because I wanted to see if my son had any conscience left. Any moment where he'd realize he was destroying his mother's retirement for his comfort. Any flicker of gratitude or shame." I met his eyes. "I waited 3 years. Lucas, you never even said thank you." Brianna found her voice. "You manipulative bitch." "Careful," Audrey warned. "Defamation is actionable." "Sue me then. This whole thing is sick. Pretending to help while setting us up." "I did help. $800,000 of help between the apartment, the bills, the business support. What I didn't do was enable indefinitely." Tom coughed diplomatically. "Should we discuss the resolution?" I nodded. "Your lease violations are extensive. Under normal circumstances, eviction proceedings would begin immediately." "You can't evict us." Lucas stood up so fast his chair rolled backward. "We have rights. You have a lease you violated repeatedly. However, I'm prepared to offer alternatives." Audrey distributed a new set of documents. Option 1. Immediate vacation of premises. You have 72 hours to remove your belongings. No further financial obligations, but also no further claims on Mrs. Hale's assets. Option 2. I continued. Sign a new lease at market rate $4,800 monthly. First and last month plus security deposit due immediately. Professional property management company takes over, including interior cameras in common areas as specified in building bylaws. $4,800. Brianna gasped. "That's impossible. That's market rate for a 2-bedroom harbor view in this building. You've been living rent-free in an apartment worth nearly $1 million. "What about option 3? Lucas asked desperately. "There is no option 3. James Parker raised his hand timidly. "My clients need time to review." 72 hours, Audrey said. The same notice period they gave Mrs. Hale when they excluded her from their family. The lights flickered as thunder crashed outside. When they steadied, I saw tears on Lucas's face, not of shame, of rage. You planned this. From the beginning. No, Lucas. I hoped I'd never need it. This was insurance against what you might become. Unfortunately, you became it. We'll destroy you, Brianna hissed. Social media, family, friends, everyone will know what you've done. I pulled out my phone and showed them a video. Their voices, captured by my doorbell camera. You told me she signed them. You told me to handle it. Mutual destruction is inadvisable, Audrey noted. Especially when we have evidence of fraud, forgery, and theft. Tom's phone buzzed. He frowned at the screen. I'm sorry, but there's an urgent matter. The super reports water damage in Unit 21B. Apparently, a pipe has been deliberately damaged. Lucas couldn't meet my eyes. When? I asked. Within the last hour, before this meeting, I turned to my son. You flooded your own apartment. Not flooded, just loosened a connection under the sink. Why, insurance claim, if we're losing it anyway. I laughed. Actually laughed. You committed insurance fraud in a building with cameras in every hallway after being called to an ownership meeting in an apartment you don't own. Even Brianna looked stunned by his stupidity. Tom pulled up his phone. I have the hallway footage, Mr. Hale entering the unit at 5:43 p.m. With what appears to be tools. That's not what it looks like. Lucas stammered. It's exactly what it looks like, Audrey said. And now it's criminal. Tom, please call building security. We'll need to file a police report. Wait. Lucas's facade finally cracked completely. Mum, please. I'm sorry. We're sorry. We'll leave. We'll sign whatever you want. Just don't what? Hold you accountable. That ship has sailed. The security office at Beacon Wharf had the atmosphere of a police station. 2 guards reviewed footage, while a maintenance worker documented the water damage with photographs. Lucas sat hunched in a plastic chair, his contractor's bravado completely evaporated. The damage is minimal, Tom reported. Maybe $3,000, but it's clearly intentional. Brianna paced behind Lucas, her heels clicking like a countdown timer. We're not saying anything without a real lawyer. I am a real lawyer, James Parker protested weakly. A competent one, she snapped. I studied my son, the boy who once cried when he accidentally broke my favorite coffee mug. Now, a man who'd sabotage property to commit fraud. When did that child disappear, Mrs. Hale? Tom asked. Would you like to press charges? The room held its breath. Not yet, I said. Let's discuss terms first. Audrey guided us back to the conference room, now feeling more like a courtroom. She placed 3 documents on the table. Document 1. Full confession of the insurance fraud attempt, signed and notarized. Document 2. Confession regarding the forged loan documents with Marion's signature. Document 3. Comprehensive repayment agreement for all misappropriated funds. This is extortion, Brianna said. This is negotiation. The alternative is criminal prosecution for fraud, forgery, and destruction of property. I leaned forward. Let me be clear. You will sign these documents. You will vacate my apartment within 72 hours. You will repay every cent of personal expenses charged to business accounts I guaranteed, or I will pursue every legal remedy available. We don't have that kind of money, Lucas admitted. Then you'll liquidate assets, the BMW, Brianna's jewelry, your boat. You know about the boat. Lucas's face paled. The 40-foot Sea Ray you bought last year? Registered under Brianna's mother's name, but paid for with business funds. Yes. Lucas. I know everything. Diane Matsuda, the forensic accountant, had been thorough. Every hidden asset, every shuffled fund, every deception laid bare in spreadsheets and bank records. How much? Lucas asked quietly. Total. $437,000, including the fraudulent loans, personal expenses on business accounts, and the consulting fees to Rebecca. We can't possibly. You can and you will. Diane has prepared a 5-year repayment plan, $7,000 monthly, including interest. $7,000 a month. Brianna shrieked. That's impossible. It's what you were spending monthly on my credit cards. Surely if you could spend it, you can repay it. A knock interrupted us. Aidan stood in the doorway, his work uniform still on, holding a folder. What are you doing here? Lucas demanded. Gran asked me to come, as a witness. He walked in with more confidence than I'd ever seen from him. And to deliver this. He handed me the folder. Inside were printed screenshots, text messages between Lucas and Brianna, planning to claim I was senile, discussing how to get power of attorney, joking about putting me in the cheapest home we can find once we have control. Where did you get those? Brianna lunged for the papers. You left your iPad logged into messages at my graduation party when I was looking for my photos. I found these instead. Aidan's voice was steady. You were planning this for months, before you even sent that text cutting Gran off. The room erupted. Lucas blamed Brianna for being careless. Brianna accused Aidan of violating privacy. James Parker tried to leave, but Audrey blocked the door. Enough! I slammed my hand on the table. Here's my final offer. Sign everything. Vacate immediately. Repayment begins next month. In exchange, no criminal charges, no IRS report, no public exposure of your conspiracy to commit elder abuse. And if we refuse, Lucas challenged, then I call the police now for the insurance fraud. I file complaints with the IRS tomorrow for tax evasion. I report your contractor's license violations to the state board. And I ensure every client you've ever had knows exactly what kind of man they hired. You wouldn't destroy your own son. You destroyed yourself. I'm just documenting it. Lucas turned to Aidan. You're really taking her side. There aren't sides, Dad. There's just truth. You stole from her. You planned to steal more. You got caught. She's manipulating you. No. Aidan interrupted. You're manipulating everyone. Always have. Gran just stopped enabling it. Brianna grabbed her purse. I want a divorce. What? Lucas spun toward her. You think I'm going down with this ship, your forgery, your affairs, your stupidity with the pipes. I'm done. The debt is joint, Audrey noted. Divorce won't eliminate your obligation. Then I'll file for bankruptcy. The fraudulent transfers to your sister and mother make that problematic. Bankruptcy courts investigate family transactions. Brianna sank into a chair, finally understanding the trap she'd helped build. I stood. You have 1 hour to decide. Sign the agreements or face the consequences. Mom, Lucas started. I'm not your mother anymore. Mothers get invited to family gatherings. Mothers get thanked for their help. Mothers aren't plotted against by their children. I'm just Marion Hale, your creditor. I walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Lucas. Your Thursday night friend called the office looking for you. I told her you'd be unavailable indefinitely. His face went white. Brianna's went red. Sign the papers, I said. You have 55 minutes. I left them in that conference room with their crumbling marriage, their worthless lawyer, and their mountain of consequences. In the hallway, Aidan caught up with me. Gran, that was necessary. I was going to say impressive. Also, terrifying. I touched his cheek. You didn't have to come. Yes, I did. They're my parents. But they're wrong. And you deserved at least one person in this family to stand with you. You're going to catch hell for this. Probably. But I'd rather be honest and struggling than comfortable and complicit. My husband would have been proud of this boy. I certainly was. 43 minutes later, they signed everything. The 72 hours expired at exactly 2:07 a.m. on Thursday. I knew because I sat in my home office, watching the security feed from Beacon Wharf on my laptop, a privilege of ownership I'd never used until now. Lucas and Brianna had spent those 3 days like hurricanes, destroying whatever remained of their relationship while trying to pack. Moving trucks came and went. Arguments echoed through the hallways. At one point, Brianna threw Lucas's golf clubs off the balcony. They both pretended not to notice when neighbors filmed it for social media. But at 2:07 a.m., they were still there. Tom had warned me they might try to squat, banking on tenant protection laws. Audrey had prepared for this. The signed confessions eliminated any legal standing they might claim. Still, I'd hoped they'd leave with a shred of dignity. I drove to Beacon Wharf through empty streets. My Honda quiet, except for that grinding noise Lucas never fixed. The security guard, Marcus, nodded as I entered. They know you're coming. Mrs. Hale. Tom called up about 15 minutes ago. The elevator ride to the 21st floor felt like ascending to judgment. When the doors opened, I heard them before I saw them. Brianna's shrill demands, Lucas's broken protests, both standing at the unit door with boxes scattered around them like wreckage. The locks were changed. Brianna spun toward me. You changed the locks before the deadline. At midnight, I confirmed. The deadline was 72 hours ago. You're trespassing. We have belongings inside, which will be catalogued, boxed, and placed in storage. You'll receive an invoice for the service. Lucas stepped forward, and for a moment, I saw my son again, exhausted, defeated, smaller somehow. Mum, please, just let us get our things. Everything you legitimately own will be returned. Everything purchased with stolen funds stays. You're enjoying this? Brianna accused. No, I said honestly. I'm finishing it. Tom appeared with 2 more security guards. Mrs. Hale, should we escort them out? Our cars are still being loaded, Lucas said desperately. Then you can wait in the lobby, or the street, but not here. I pulled out the silver magnetic card and held it up. With deliberate precision, I waved it over the executive panel. The owner's override activated, and every access point on the floor clicked to secured mode. The message was clear. This was my domain now. You're really doing this, Lucas said. You're really throwing away your family for money. You threw away your family for money. I'm just refusing to finance it anymore. Brianna laughed bitterly. You think you've won, you'll die alone. Old woman. No family. No grandchildren visits. No one who cares. I'd rather be alone with my dignity than surrounded by parasites. Parasites. Lucas's face darkened. We're parasites. What else do you call organisms that feed off a host while providing nothing in return? Before he could respond, the elevator dinged. Aidan stepped out, carrying a box. "What are you doing here?" Lucas demanded, helping Gran. He walked past his parents without looking at them. "I'm moving into the guest room at her house. Someone needs to help with maintenance, and I need affordable housing while I work and save for college." "You're choosing her money over us," Brianna spat. "I'm choosing the person who actually sees me as more than an ATM. The one who spent 3 hours teaching me to budget instead of 3 years teaching me to take. We're your parents. Then act like it. Take responsibility. Make amends. Stop blaming everyone else for consequences you earned." Lucas grabbed Aidan's arm. "You don't understand what she's done." "I understand perfectly." Aidan shook him off. "She gave you everything, and you gave her nothing. Not even respect." I stepped between them. "Enough. Lucas. Brianna, you need to leave. Now." Marcus and the other guards moved closer. The threat was implicit, but clear. Brianna grabbed 2 boxes while Lucas stood frozen, staring at Aidan like he'd never seen him before. "This isn't over," Lucas said finally. "Yes," I said firmly. "It is." They entered the elevator, Brianna struggling with boxes, Lucas empty-handed and hollow-eyed. As the doors closed, Lucas looked at me one last time. "I'm your son," he said quietly. "Biology doesn't grant you the right to destroy me." The doors closed on whatever he might have said next. In the silence that followed, Aidan put his hand on my shoulder. "You okay?" "Gran. I will be." We stood there for a moment. Then I walked to Unit 21B. The door stood open, revealing the chaos they'd left behind, furniture overturned, trash everywhere, deliberate damage to the walls. "They destroyed it," Aidan said. "Things can be repaired. People are harder to fix." I pulled out my phone and called Audrey. "Document everything. Every scratch, every stain, every broken fixture. Add it to what they owe." Then I walked to the balcony door and stepped outside. The harbour stretched out below, lights twinkling on the water. Somewhere down there, my son and his wife were loading their cars, their marriage imploding, their schemes collapsed. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No regret. Just peace. My phone buzzed. A text from Marisol. "Saw the ownership transfer paperwork. Proud of you for protecting yourself." Another from Tom. "Professional cleaning crew arrives at 8 a.m. Full renovation estimate by noon." And one from my sister in Florida. "Heard Lucas got evicted. What happened?" I deleted that one without responding. Let them wonder. Let them gossip. Let them choose sides. I had my dignity, my assets, and one grandchild who understood that love isn't measured in dollars given, but in respect earned. The security footage would show Lucas and Brianna leaving Beacon Wharf at 2:37 a.m. Their luxury car packed with whatever fit. Their faces captured in high definition as they realized the security desk had been instructed not to validate their parking. $50 for 3 days of parking. A petty final insult, perhaps. But sometimes the smallest cuts sting the most. I signed my name one last time on the repossession notice Tom had prepared, Marion Elizabeth Hale. Owner. Not mother. Not grandmother. Not ATM. Just a woman who finally learned the difference between helping and enabling, between family and parasites, between love and transaction. And that signature, in blue ink under harsh lobby lights while my son's world crumbled, was worth every penny I'd never see again. Thank you for listening to my story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment and let's connect. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts below. Sometimes the most expensive lessons are the ones that finally teach us our worth.